let us pay attention. So please upload these tasks and comment to your classmates so you can have the full grade here. In regards the bitácora, you can upload it, as I told you, or you can send it to me and I can send you with feedback, or we can meet in Zoom meetings one-to-one to check if everything is okay. At this point, it's only formative assessment. So it's good for you to complete something, include something you haven't done. So this is a moment to get it better. You already have it. You already have it, but it's the moment to improve. So do not worry. This is for your benefit, okay? And I wanted you to see this. This is our course assessment summary. This is in the lesson plan. So we have a participation in the forums. I consider it's already finished, not finished, but you have been doing and you have been receiving grades. So participation is covered. That will be a 10% of your final grade in July. But you have been doing this and you already have your progress there. Do not forget to complete the last forums. The learning bitácora, I consider it is done. Probably you need some kind of feedback, add some things, but it's not something you need to start from zero. This is not, you already have this. You only need to probably complete, as I said, improve something, but that's it. The bitácora for me is accomplished. You're only completing it, making it better, yes, more accurate. And that will be an important percentage of your final grade. But the important thing is you're not at a zero. You're not at zero. So this is important. The midterm is done. The grades are in the SGC, yes, the Sistema de Gestión Curricular. So your grades are there. And we have accomplished that. We have accomplished that task. This was a demand. By now, we should have in the normal, okay, Barbara is coming. In a normal semester, we should be already in this section. Can you see the red arrow here?
Yes.
Yes, so we should be here, but of course this was not a normal semester, but moreover, we had some weeks off. We can say we took one more week for the midterm, so time here is a little bit tight. And if you see here in the calendarización del sistema de gestión curricular, the idea was that for now, for this week, you should have done this. You should be doing this, but we are behind. Yes, we are a little bit behind. Estamos atrasados. But nevertheless, we can recover that. So SGC is going to demand me to do this. ¿Sí? El sistema de SGC me obliga a mí que yo cumpla con este requisito. Can you understand? So we have to fulfill this requirement. But I think I will be okay if I do it in 2 weeks' time. Yes, 2 weeks' time will be here. Can you see? We are here. Can you see?
Yes.
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 Teacher.
So in 2 weeks' time, I should be already uploading here because the system is going to ask me to do this. I cannot change this. I can't. Now I know that I have to be more flexible with time, but this was my first time doing it. And that's why I was very tight with the time. But hopefully we are not going to have problems. And by this time, we are going to have some of those grades, hopefully. So as you can see, I did a very tight, very close analysis that what we need to finish is micro teaching and the final assessment. In SGC, we are going to have this around the end of the month, beginning of July. Yes, this grade here. We are going to have the second test around the 6th. It can be the following week, just because of the time. So this can also be changed. This can also be changed. Participation is due this last week. Yes. So participation here, I keep on adding to your grades. So that's the last grade I need to add here. So, but is mandatory. Yes, it's a mandatory requirement. And then we have the portfolio, the final bitácora. The final bitácora date is the 13th of July. So I need to already upload your grade. So this is the limit. So for you to have in mind, I copy this here. I copied this here just for you to have in mind, we have to accomplish these dates. Okay, how? How are we going to do it? So we start today with a general revision and activities to develop listening skills and something about language objectives. So this will be your, from now on, you don't have any more tasks. You will have outlines in regards activity planning. Next week, we will do speaking skills in beginners with the same kind of framework for the activity. By the end of June, we should be agreeing how we will do the micro teaching, whether it is in these Zoom meetings, you show your activity, or you do a video, or you do some way of showing. Yes, how? Remember that by the beginning of the semester, you did some products to show something. You created a website, you created a video, some of you a video, some others, So we can discuss proposals here. But something to show something very short about these activities. Okay. Camila is here. All right. Then we will have some weeks to finish this. Yes, we will have some flexibility here, just because we are tight in time. And you will work in pairs, but we will need probably some flexibility. And you need feedback, I will give you feedback, so we will be flexible here. And then we will have the final quiz. We can have it instead of the 6th, we can have the final on the 13th. So that gives us one more week here, flexibility. But if someone is not able to do it, or someone needs to do a makeup, it has to be on the same week, because we don't have any more time. We are tight there. And in the case of optional, we have still that Monday, this Monday, which is the last Monday. We are falling, we're falling off. This is the end, and the end of the semester. By this time, you already need to have all of this done. Yes, you will have your participation completed, your portfolio, the bitácora, and the test, the final test. So there is a lot to do. We need a lot of work, but this will be a working collaboration. So you're not alone in doing this. You will collaborate, and this will be more creative. You will be doing things instead of just reading and answering questions. You will apply everything you have read. So this is your time to be creative and to show, yes, how much you like teaching, and that's why you're here. Okay, girls, this is the explanation. I will stop there. So we'll go back to activities. And why is that I needed you to check this? It's because it's a good beginning for you to think as if you were already teachers and you need to have solve this problem or this situation to develop an activity to develop listening skills for beginners. So remember, we have learned about the silent period, the characteristics of beginner learners, and those are important pieces of information that will help us in developing these skills and developing our activities. So bear them in mind. So, so do you think you have a best short answer in the midterm quiz? I have chosen and rewritten some of them as examples, but do you think you have a favorite answer that you would like to share? Anyone? Any activity, any short answer you like the most? One example, just short. No? And how was your experience thinking and writing about the activity? When you were sitting there, what did you think? Some ideas? Anyone? Araceli, Barbara?
I think that it was good. I enjoy make the midterm in my bed. I like it.
Did you like it? And did you feel? I felt. Sorry. I felt. So you felt you could do it. Yes.
Yes, and I think that every question or every task we have to do, it was about the class that we was doing.
Yes.
So that's okay.
So about the materials we have discussed.
Yes.
But it was like a plus. Yes, a plus. You need to do something else. Think of an activity. Oh, I read about this, but now I need to do the practical part. And so that can be new for you. And what did you think first and second and third? Do you remember what were your thoughts in order? What do you think first? Oh, what do I have to write here? I need to start at some point.
Organize my ideas.
Yes, so first organize ideas. Yes, that's usually what we do. Second.
Make write it and then look for the translate of word that I don't know.
Look up. Look up
for
words.
the word.
We always do this. Look up words. Everyone, look up words. We do not know. Yes, exactly. We always do this. I also do it.
Yes, and finally, be carefully with my answer.
Reread. Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Reread the answers. Excellent. Excellent. And now we will see that there is a general organization to these answers. We can say it is not fixed, yes, but in general, we can say there is a general organization we need to pay attention to, because these are practical. These are the basis for practical ideas that we might put into action. And we need to have an organization. So only because we need to think of that. Here we have two examples. One was about CLIL, which was a very good example, but I I rewrote a little bit for you not to, but it was not to put you on spot, but it was just to give you an example of a well-organized answer. Yes? So this is a class oriented to primary school students, taught in English or natural science content, applying CLIL. So content and language integrated learning. So these children are going to learn about the content, about water, and the value of water, and language, the language they need, the vocabulary they need in order to talk about this topic. The objective of the class is to explain the importance of water in everyday life and to propose measures to promote and saving and responsible use. Content introduction activities, a cartoon. So first of all, what do we think first? What did this person do and we normally do? What do we think first? What goes first in anything? In an activity?
Introduction.
Introduction, yes, excellent, excellent. So we need to think of introduction activities. So how are we going to call the attention of our students and present some elements that we need? So here in the cartoon video, they show the teacher, this future teacher, shows devices and activities that need to use water. So students revise vocabulary by matching the names of devices and activities. So we have vocabulary, we have words and images. This was present in the majority of your answers, which was good. We always need to have these cues from the linguistic area, but also calling the attention with pictures so that our students can make connections, remember. And so the students communicate, yes, in order to find a matching partner. Very good. So activities to work the language and the content, which will be this section of your activity. This is the introduction. So we introduce the topic, the vocabulary, and then what do we do? In every class, you have this similar. What do teachers do after presenting, introducing the activities? Girls?
Activity.
Yes, they do activity. Yes, they work with that content. Yes, so they classify, for example, new words, vocabulary. Yes, according to different categories. Remember, they are learning a content. They are learning how to use water, how to how do we waste water. They investigate and classify devices. So they do things and check the verbs. They're all active verbs. They identify, they match, they investigate, they classify, they write down information. So they do things, yes, with the content, and they're also learning the language. And finally, what's the end of the activity, a class?
Reinforce.
A reinforcement, a consolidation, yes. So they can play true or false as a reinforcement of that content and language they have been learning. Short sentences, yes. Unrelated to actions of saving and wasting money. And then finally, and this is something you will learn with time. This can be formative or summative. Yes, students put together all that knowledge. Yes, it's much more than checking. Yes, this evaluation is like more integral to do something and showing their learning. So this is an excellent example, rewritten by me, yes, to express some things in a special way. But this will be one of the, so keep this in mind for the final, just for you to have an idea on how this is like an example of activities, if we have to write about them. And so how is the activity generally organized if we have to answer this question? How is it generally organized?
Introduction.
It is organized in sections, generally. And then if we go bigger to a class, we have the same, yes? We have sections. It's not always the same or disorganized pieces. It's organized in sections, yes? From introduction to closure, we can say closure or ending. And you said consolidation or evaluation. You have different names. Systematization, you have different ones. And you will learn in different modules, but they all tend to put together the content. Evaluation. And what do we do at the end to put together? Content and language learned. In this case, because it's clear. And this you did, for example, in several modules, like, for example, culture, for example, the module on culture. You were doing this. You were doing this, you were learning content and language, English and something about culture and different theories related to culture in the world. So, in the case of CLIL, for you to understand CLIL better, or again, to repeat your understanding of CLIL, that would be useful. Okay, so do we follow so far? So we need this by the end. And you have another answer too, which is shorter. It's much shorter, but let me know when you read it, let me know if it follows the same sections, we can say. Read and tell me. I will stop this. So that as regards, so that's a good introduction for us, for the class. And always remember, we are reminding, always talking about the different standards. And from last class, we have the standard, we have this learning outcome referred to the silent period, and how students still demonstrate understanding and the characteristics of early language learners in learning that language. And we talked about this descriptor last 2 weeks ago, that as teachers, you need to know, what do we need to know? This is similar to English. How do you say this in English? Concepts and principles of, you read a lot about this. How are they called? The learning?
Theories.
The learning theories, yes. Learning theories and development in general, yes. And so know how to use them when you are teaching. So all of this you have been reading about, you're going to also to do at school. And this is also what teachers do at school every day. And then there is another standard that is important for us, standard 4, because now we are stepping into activity planning to demonstrate techniques for making input in English comprehensible, something we also have been talking about, to beginners, including receptive skills. Okay, and it is better if we don't use Spanish, so that we really become very creative in how to make ourselves understood and the input understood to students. beginner student. Okay, standard 4 is something very, very important. We have seen it along the semester. And it is about what? You have this in English. You know this.
Strategies of teaching.
Strategies, teaching and learning strategies. Yes, exactly. And so this is what you will be doing your whole lives from now to until you become old ladies and you have spent your life in teaching. So you will be planning, of course, from very, very short plans that you can do now until you become a teacher, and you do long plannings with all the strategies, activities to get your objectives. Yes, and you will learn this. And you will also take into account your students' characteristics, the characteristics of your schools. Remember, I always tell you, pay attention, because sometimes we have great ideas or we read about great ideas, but we need to adapt them to the reality in our environment. And this is what you do here. Okay, any question about this, or is it clear? We have talked about this a lot anyway. ¿Algo para decir, chicas, del estándar 4 en español también? ¿Una reflexión? Anything? ¿No? Recuerden que todos los módulos tienen que estar, ¿verdad? Repitiendo, reflexionando. Es parte, digamos, de todo el proceso formativo. Okay. Here you have more about the standards. Remember, you always keep your reflections on standards. Okay. Tasks, document 6A and 6B. How were they? How were they? Did you do them? Something very short about the silent period? What do you think?
This is process that children express leader sentences or words.
Ah, sorry, it's very big. So children express, express short sentences, probably not even short sentences, repeat and few words. Few words. And few words, yes. Probably sometimes they don't express anything. Sometimes they only repeat, yes. What they hear, but sometimes they don't express by themselves. So they are like different levels. What else can they do in the silent period? For sure they can do. You have seen little children doing something in the videos. They respond with?
Stimulus. Or not? Stimulus response?
To stimulus, yes. For example, with when they are chanting head and shoulders, knees and toes. What do they do with their hands, with the body?
Song? Music.
Yes, so they repeat a song, yes, they repeat chants and songs and movements. So they can copy what the teacher does.
Yes.
Is TPR?
TPR, excellent. TPR is the most common, and you can see lots of videos of little children repeating the movements, and also some of them repeating words and phrases because they cannot express by themselves so freely. And so some students might be silent, yes, just listening, but we don't have to forget, should not forget that they are learning. Oops, sorry. That students are learning during this period as well. Okay, what am I doing? And, okay, I need to go out of this. General discussion. This is going to be uploaded, so you can always remember these are probable questions in the final, so just for you to bear in mind. So what's going on in the student's brain during the silent period. So we said that the learner is learning. What is the learner learning mainly? When we are in the silent period? Yes, we learn grammar, yes, yes. He or she is learning grammar, the rules of the language. Is learning the rules of the language, vocabulary, rules and vocabulary of the language, the use of the language, the use of the language, etc. So always bear in mind you have this PowerPoint to revise before the final, because these can be questions asked in the final. So what is it? Why is it important not to pressure? You already told me. Not to create anxiety, stress. What advice would you give a teacher who has students in the silent period? Just think, if this is a final exam question, and you need to give an advice, what would you say?
That maybe they can practice listening songs, making visual activities.
Yes, visual and movements, kinesthetic.
Yes.
Yes, so they learn a lot, children learn a lot with kinesthetic. We can add it here, kinesthetic activities. Yeah, perfect, perfect, girls. So it's not that they are not learning, yes, they are always learning. They can respond with one word or by doing something, but not probably with language. And so what can you do? Yes, if you to know if your students understand. So here are examples that you can do whenever you need your student to know if your students understand you. You can show them pictures, as we said, or just say command and wait for them to respond. So for example, Liselda, can you go close the door? And if little Liselda responds, even she doesn't have to respond to me in words, but she can do the action. And so I will understand she's learning what we're teaching. Okay, girls. This was the forum post, the characteristic of younger learners according to the University of Alberta. And I wanted to pay attention of these two levels, beginning and developing, because from here you can take your ideas also for your activity, for your ideas to help beginners develop the language. Okay, so that's why I highlighted these two levels for you to think. And we did some examples. For example, here, so with very reduced ability to speak the language, the teacher can do much more to help this. To help students not get bored with only grammar classes, we can do something. And if we choose something from here, for example, what can we do? For example, so when we know our students are have more participation in social interaction, for example. What can we do from the classes to help this learner? Because he's learning more English. What can we do in the classroom? What is our response? We can put this example here. What can we do in the classroom to help this student? Which kind of activities? The teacher can. So this student is developing. How can we help him?
Conversation in groups.
Yes, exactly. The teacher can invite the students to an activity involving group conversations. Perfect, group conversations. Role playing also. And with these activities, we're helping this social interaction much more. We're helping this process of learning. So this is the way in which we need to think on when we are asked, how do we respond as teachers? How do we help from the side as being teachers from our work? Oh, sorry, I don't want to delete everything. So from our daily planning, how do we help these students improve? Debates, for example. So as soon as I notice my students are speaking much more, participating much more in social interaction, I can do more speaking activities with them. And with that, I support them. So these are only ideas, but you can have many more by reading here. Okay, again, TPR and TPRS are our great helpers with beginners. And you have watched this also video examples. But why is TPR so successful? Why do you think? TPR is really successful because students can remember the vocabulary, the structure, they respond, and also because they learn their native language in the same way. So since you're born, your parents are giving you commands. Come here, don't drop that, put this in that place. So children learn to respond to commands. And so this is a natural way of learning for them during the silent period. But always remember, you need to follow, as we said before, with the activity, we need to follow certain tips and an organization. So these are some tips: introduce new vocabulary and structures gradually, build on what students already know, speak slowly, model or demonstrate before expecting students to respond, and use gestures and do the action. So generally with TPR, but there are other options as well. Develop listening skills. The listening skill. And how do we develop that from the beginning, from zero? It's by listening to stories. We have a lot of that. Also in the mother tongue, we have early learners, young learners, listening to stories, to songs, to dialogues, reading aloud. The teacher does a lot of reading aloud. TPR activities, TPRS, which is a storytelling. Allowing yes, no questions, and reading lyrics, singing, chants, learning songs. So in general, this is done both in L1 and in L2. And I would like you to think of variety of activities. So just, this is also another way of helping beginners. For example, one word game. And you can see this in everyday life in schools when students have to respond with only one word. This will also be useful for the silent period. And I will give you this, I will let you watch this. So think of the variety of activities, the games, and we discuss next class because you need your time to think. So these all are for you to think, to start planning your pair work activity. I have been announcing this for a while. So you have read a lot, you have watched lots of videos. And what you will be doing is reflecting on a grade in elementary education you would like to work with, outline your activity. I will teach you here an outline that I will send you via email. It's an outline I have created. Think of a language objective that contains also a content objective. We will put them together. And how to make input comprehensible. So we will have this week and next week to think of this and be able to work in pairs, put things together. And here you will have to tell me with whom would you like to work. Okay, so think of a person you can work with, you can communicate every day. I do not know whether every day, but very usually, I mean, every day would be good so that you can collaborate in this. Yes? Girls? Are you clear?
Yes.
The outline I am asking you to complete by thinking of all these activities. So I created this document 6C. This is the lab, but this is an outline really. It's not like a task document. This is an activity planning reflective outline for general teaching and collaboration. So here we write the names, the date, the grade, the student's age, which we can take out to have more space, but we will know around the age of students anyway, which is the name of the activity and the objective that we are going to see in a minute. So this is a general introduction. Then we have a view of general teaching and collaboration. And here is where we put everything we have been reading and working with together. So remember, we saw the approaches to teaching English. Do you remember the approaches? We saw CLIL, task-based. Do you remember them?
Yes.
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 So here you choose which one. And the main aspects. Do you remember the aspects? You had the teacher's role, student's role. Yes.
Elements used.
Activity. Yes, the activity you decide within the teachers and students. Just to give you idea, just to remind you that we have been doing this. Yeah, we have been doing this. We have done this before. So how input is made comprehensible, we have also talked about this. And this is where you put it together, you give the idea, how do you make your students understand the content? What do you need to do? Do you stand there and you start speaking, blah, 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 blah? Probably not. What do we do for our students to understand the content? One idea?
Give an example.
Give examples by showing, for example, these are
Visual activity.
Yes, give examples and visual support. Yeah, exactly. So I'm showing the phone and I am showing the picture of the phone and saying the word phone. Excellent. So this is a way of making the input comprehensible. You make sure students understand the content. And you have been seeing this, yes? You have been writing about this. Then the language. What did we say that CLIL, task-based, how did these approaches use the language? How is the language used? You have it. You have written about this. How is to do grammar exercises? No. To complete grammar rules? No.
No.
So,
Stimulant and response.
yes, so the language is used to stimulate, yes, a response, for example, to ask for information, yes? So here, what you say here, you stimulate someone is when you look for information, yes? That is the meaning of this. So I use the language for something real. To ask for information I don't know. So in role plays, you give different roles and one student asks about the way to the park. So he's asking for information that others have. So this is the way in which we use language with these activities in the approaches we have. And go back to those files of the related to the approaches, and you have all of this. We have done this, we have discussed this. So you are going to understand, you are going to remember what we have been doing there. So we have done this. It's just revision. And so how is the environment for language learning created? Do you remember everything we read about the environment? How do we create the environment? One idea. You read a lot. You did in the quiz.
For example, putting words in the board.
Yes, yes. Putting words up in word banks. Los bancos de palabras. Anchor charts. Do you remember? We were reading at the beginning. Do you remember? Yes. Anchor charts, word walls, exact labels. Excellent, excellent. So all of that is creating the environment. If we're going to do a song, the music, so all of that, that stimulus, the chairs, how are we going to use the chairs, for example, all of that is the environment. And you read a lot about this, a lot. And how are you going to collaborate? So this is a decision you make with your classmate. So I am going to do the materials, prepare the materials. My classmate is going to help with, I don't know, with the objectives. You divide your collaboration. That's why it's important that we decide that we communicate well with our classmates so that we can work together, yes? And collaborate. You're going to tell me here, what are you going to do? Yeah, clear? Girls?
Yes.
Yes.
This is better. You work with someone, you divide the work, I do the objectives, Maria does the materials. So we have our tasks divided. All right, then we go to the objective that we're going to work with in a minute, something short. Then we will do some warm-up activity to prepare our students. So here we think of activities like always we think of revision of vocabulary, always. Remember, girls, what we were saying at the beginning of the class. Yes, so there is a section in which I revise vocabulary, I ask the students previous knowledge. I do a game to do this. There is an activation there. Then the instructions, what are the students going to do? You think well about your activity and how you finish the activity. And you have had wonderful examples at the beginning, because then you say, oh, no, we are lost. No, we are not lost. We know what we're doing. Okay, then the students' interaction, how are they going to interact? The students are going to be silent, collaborating. How can they collaborate? How can they interact? What can I tell them to do? For example, one example, just so short. They can work in pairs, in groups. Yes?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
they're here, all right. Then the materials, what are the materials they're going to use? They're going to use the board, paper, the computer, whatever.
The text.
Yes, the text, a book. Yes, there
Yes.
is a way also in which many schools here in Linares, we have to understand, schools in Linares use books. And probably when you go to do your practical English, you have also to work with books. But those are materials we can use to the benefit and to adapt them to our new objectives or to a new approach, like for example, CLIL or task-based. So you will have the tools to do this, and this is great. Whatever, now you're thinking, how can we improve this teaching materials? Very good. And then you have the pedagogical response, remember, to the level of the students. Remember when we were reading that chart?
Mm-hmm.
So we are at the level in which students are beginners. So how do we respond to this? We need to make everything evident, give them lots of examples, lots of pictures, kinesthetic support, everything we need for them. And how long it will take. Remember, we cannot take very long, but anyway, just this is a planning. This is a planning, so you just think, yeah, okay. So you will receive this via email. I will send you the Word document, which is very short, only this. I wanted to show you here to explain to you. And then we are going to see something very short about the objectives, and then you can go and start working. And I also need you to respond to my email telling me your classmates, the classmates you're going to collaborate with. So what do we need for these objectives? As I was pointing out at the beginning, the verbs I use need to be verbs of action. Remember, we said identify, classify, describe, explain, write, whatever, express. All of those words that include an action, but not words that include or refer to a behavior that we cannot observe, like understand, appreciate, enjoy, because I cannot see this. These are other kinds of verbs that do not let me see an action. So that's for you to pay attention to the use of verbs. And here we have like a short pattern to follow. So we're going always to think of functions, like for example, the verb, yes, describe, in this case. A content, we are always talking about content, even when we are not explicitly doing CLIL, we always we're always dealing with a topic in English classes. So in this case, it's the states of water, describes the 3 states of water, plus a lexical grammar pattern using the present simple tense. So this lexical pattern refers to vocabulary, and grammar refers to structures, verb tenses, you know that. We can also refer here to skills. There is an addition. So describe the 3 states of water using the present simple in written sentences. So it can also be to develop one skill. And here in this website, you can also see this. How in the United States, teachers use content and language objectives to develop skills, but also vocabulary and grammar patterns. For another example would be present the members of your family by using vocabulary words related to family members orally and in writing. Here, I want to develop 2 skills. Okay, so that would be enough of information for you. All right, and get to the ending. Okay, so in pairs, you will have to reflect about which activity you would like to do to help students in the silent period develop listening skills. Probably if we have something about a little bit speaking one word, you can also do it, yes, not exclusive. Complete task document 6C, I'm going to send by email to the best of your ability. That means the best you can. Yes, include all the elements you can so that you feel you're doing, and if there is something, a doubt, we talk again next week. We will continue practicing language objectives next week. Be ready to present an advance of your activity orally next class. Yes, so you need to do something here. We are going to do a CLIL activity. These are going to be the instructions. You need this, or I don't know, whatever you want. And then you will upload to the corresponding forum, but that will be next week. For now, what I want you is to find a pair. Find a classmate to work with. And collaborate. In pairs, you will have to reflect about this activity. You will complete to the best of your ability, yes? With all the elements. And be ready to present. This will be more important. Then we will continue practicing. This will be here. And we will upload later for feedback. That will be something in the future. So are we clear? Are we clear, girls?